What's up, everyone? Hope you're having a good one. Wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about my experience and what's going on right now. I am taking another year in medical school, but this year will be to do a master's program um, at the same school where I'm getting my medical degree, and I'm actually very excited about it um, because I'll be able to do some of the things that I hoped to do, things that I uh, wrote about, that I was like very, very excited and eager to do as I was applying to medical school. And honestly, I hadn't really had too much time to do that, and um, so just because of the fact that med school has been very fast paced, it has been pretty rigorous, of course, right? And for me, it was definitely a shock. I did take two gap years, so to come back into med school, I definitely had to like readjust again and stuff. I mean, obviously, I wasn't that far like out of undergrad, so I just tried some same techniques, and obviously had to just figure out what was gonna work for me and what wasn't. Um, but in the end, I did find myself playing the catch up game a lot. A lot of it probably was um, not probably, but it was my fault because I might have gotten myself involved in way too much. I was very excited had started med school and be in med school, and so I wanted to get involved with a lot of things, and I just ended up playing catch up a lot, which is it's not ideal when you have these pretty tough exams and stuff, and you want to make sure that you don't stretch yourself too thin. At least looking back, that's what I'd uh, tell myself, and advice that I'd give other people, But yeah, basically, my first 3 years was a lot of that, and because of that, I ended up obviously you realizing that I had to focus on my academics way more, right? And so it's not that I wasn't, but maybe I was doing extracurriculars maybe a bit too much. Um, and so I had to just narrow it down. That's really all it was. I'm saying that the adjusting took time, right? Once I got there, I had to really lock in, take care of my stuff. Obviously, I do have still extracurriculars that I do that I really really care about, and I'm not saying I completely stopped all of them, right? But I did have to really adjust, and so with a lot going on and life still going on, right? Because that doesn't stop. You still have your personal life stuff go on, family stuff, and so it can become a lot. And for me, it wasn't ever at a point where I was overwhelmed and I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't ever at a point where I felt like um, I couldn't continue or like I was stuck, but I was at a point where um, I was just very, very busy, and I had to be very careful about how I use my time, and things like that. And so that's what it's basically been. And so this year, I'm going to take this year to really focus on some of that stuff that I wrote about in my application, and which involves more of that community work, involves more of the research, publishing and things like that. I have done that in med school, but again, with juggling so many things, it's almost like you have to take some eggs out of one basket and fill one more, and the not the problem, but the thing becomes that other things kind of suffer just a bit, right? And so that's what I found myself doing a lot of, but within reason. I wasn't sacrificing something that or putting less time into something that I knew was really important, right? It was just kind of balancing, or maybe not balancing, but like unbalancing, right? A bit. It was like that, but at the same time, I had to be aware and conscious about how I went about it, right? Because I also wasn't gonna just completely neglect another thing in school. So, anyways, with that going on, um, it was very overwhelming. I was very, very stressed, and it's not that I didn't want to continue, but a lot of times I did ask myself, like, what the heck am I doing again? like what is it? And I did, I do think that I might have lost that spark, that fire, just for a bit, because I was so caught up in it. I was so caught up in it that I wasn't giving myself the chance to take a step back and really remind myself like why I was doing it all, right? And so things that I did, I started going back into the clinic. I started going back to actually working with physicians and stuff, and being around the clinical space. And that, when I'm in that space, that's when I remember, right? Or when I realize like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. And so that really helped. Now with this year, I plan to do way more of that. Because I love that more than anything. Being in the hospital, interacting with patients, learning that way. Versus just kind of being in the book all day, which can be um, demoralizing at times. Um, my morale was pretty low during like my board exam study and stuff. But again, it was an exam that required that sort of commitment, and I wouldn't change anything because I had to do that. I had to lock in that way. Again, realizing that this is what I can't see myself doing nothing else. So do like reminding myself of those things, being reminding myself that I'm actually privileged to be in this situation, that I am blessed to be able to be studying, and having the opportunity to take this exam, reshaping the way I think, remolding my perspective, really really helped me. And so I'm very very excited and happy going into this year. And not just that, but I'm also very excited about returning to med school the following year, my fourth year, to come back and do my sub internships, which is basically like auditioning to whatever specialty you end up applying to, and other elective clinical rotations that you do as a fourth year, for your final year of medical school before you graduate, right, and go off into residency. So I'm very very excited about it moving forward. I'd say that after taking my board exam and taking some time right now in the summer to again, catch up with friends, with family, and not just that, but with myself, has really really helped too. And honestly, it just it reminds me that it's all been worth it. Like, I'm so happy about it. And so for anyone out there, going through it or whatever, like, I send you positive vibes. You got this. I'm not gonna lie and say that it's always gonna be like rainbows and freaking like positivity and happiness. Like, that's just not what it is. Sometimes there will be harder moments than others, and that includes like every major exam, right? Like, even with the MCAT, like, I do remember, at least for me, that being a pretty tough exam, and having moments of doubt, and having moments where I just didn't know if I wanted to continue. But it wasn't that I didn't want to, but it was because I thought that I couldn't. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't, and stuff like that, but of course, that was all just a negative mindset, and I had to just snap out of it. Same thing that I kind of did now, I did then. I had to just snap out of it, remind myself why I wanted to do this. And so, yeah, I mean, those moments do happen. It has happened, but again, when I ultimately ask myself, what is it that I want to do? There's nothing else that I want to do. There's nothing else that I really see myself doing. And so I'm going to keep going, right? I'm going to keep giving it my all. I know a lot of pre-meds watch our stuff and want to get an insight more about like med school and stuff. And honestly, it's been one of the best years of my life. Like, I've learned so much in all aspects, just obviously in medicine, clinically and stuff like that, but as a person, meeting people, other smart people, and learning from them. It's been amazing, and the field of medicine is just obviously like always evolving, and there's just so much to know. Obviously I don't know it all, right? But I think that's part of the beauty of it too. Like, there's just so much. And so, like, I think there's a lot to look forward to for people, in the pre-med route, pre-med track, and even applying to med school and starting med school now. Yeah, like I mentioned, so I'm going to start my master's program this year. It's going to be a master's of social science, which when I was in undergrad, I always like enjoyed my social science classes, but I only had a couple as a pre-med. I was a biology major, so like I didn't have that many, but now's my chance to really explore the social science um, side of things, and I think that it will help me as a clinician and as a physician in the future. I hope that it kind of expands my mind and the way I think about things, hopefully. And then again, like I mentioned, I'm so excited to be able to just have the opportunity and time to work on more projects for my community, um, local, but also like at a bigger scale. Like I'm just excited of what, oops, excuse me. I'm just excited of the things that hopefully this time would be able uh, to bring to me, the opportunities that it would bring to me, because again, like I said, it was just nonstop back to back, this and that and this and that. And not to say that I'm not going to have that anymore this year. Of course, I'm still going to have assignments, I'm still going to have uh, homework or exams and papers and stuff. I will. I'm not saying that I'm not, but in terms of like class schedule and commitments to all these things going on like I have in med school, it's going to be a little different. So that's what I mean by that. Like, for example, like med school exams are kind of frequent, and when it comes to the board exam, it's something that like you want to dedicate kind of full-time studying to it too, so you don't really want to be doing too much, if possible, like nothing else at all. Like you just want to focus on that. And so that's what I mean by that. I do still have to take another board exam, so I am going to have to figure out when in my year I'm going to want to place that, right? It's not going to take me the whole year, but I am going to have a dedicated time to study for that during the year. um but that being said, I do hope to like just maximize my time and that and the months that I will have to plan other things, so I can have just plans for the year, like yeah, so the year can be planned basically, so I'm working, that's what I'm working on now. And people ask me all the time like where I am in my med school journey, so that's what's going on now. Again, for everyone that has any questions, let us know. We're happy to answer them through these form, like video form. Kind of get on here and just talk about whatever it is that y'all are interested in or have questions on. And then of course, if you have like comments and or questions, you can drop it in the comments, and we can see them that way. But anyways, y'all, I hope y'all learned something from this video. I just I know I just kind of rambled, but anyways, I just kind of wanted to get on here and speak to y'all about what it really has been these last couple of years. Now that I would have started my fourth year, but I didn't. I'm gonna do the master's. So, anyways, y'all, please subscribe to the channel if you can. I'd really appreciate that. If you can hit the like button, that would be super dope too. But anyways, y'all, I hope y'all have a great one, and y'all take care. Okay, peace out.